We're about to get started. Come on in. Come on in. All right. We're in the double digits tonight. Let's go. Parental advisory. You are going to hear the N word. You're going to hear some other words that might offend sensitive ears. Even though most of us use those words, probably today. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go, y'all. All right. It is Hoodie night. Time to get at it. It's been a minute, as I said before, since we've had this conversation. Can't wait no more. Change gonna come. Change gonna come right now. Can't wait anymore. It's gotta happen. Let me go ahead and do some housekeeping here really quickly. I think I've got to do that just to make sure that we're all good. You know, you can subscribe, like, or share. Appreciate that. We're going to get into quite a bit here. Let me go ahead and put up my copyright disclaimer. Fair use under the Copyright Act of 1976. Also, the views expressed on this show are not the views of G2. They are mine alone. You can go ahead and type your questions and comments in the chat if you so feel that you are moved to do so. So why the hell are we here tonight? We're here because Black people got a problem. Got a huge problem. We dance around it. We don't really address it. You know, shout out to Up From Slavery, Race and Equity Summit that they held earlier this year. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. We suffer from it. Every day, all day, When people in and outside of the Black community, they look and they say, man, how come y'all are still so fractured? How come y'all can't seem to get it together? Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Crabs in a barrel, we're going to keep pulling each other down. HNIC, head Negro in charge. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So we can't really get anywhere, right? Well, some of us do. Some of us make some gains. Most of us stay where we're at. Generational poverty, poverty mindset, zero sum. It's good for me, but it's not good for you. We're going to get into it. No, I was actually told by one of the main people I'm going to be talking about tonight, Daryl Riley. And again, Daryl, if you want to come on, you can come on in a little bit. I'll send you the link. Said, shouldn't have these conversations out in the open, in front of white folks, in front of other people. This is stuff that should be handled behind the house. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be doing my best impression of Nat Turner. See, Nat Turner fought against slaves, slave owners. But he also fought against those who would seek to tell massa that the slaves were trying to escape. Someone has to be the modern day Nat Turner if we are to truly make gains. See, these incremental gains that we have been making over time, we've stagnated. We clap and we applaud for the tokenism that we're provided. Juneteenth is a federal holiday. Tokenism. $10,000 off student loans. Tokenism. That's what it is. Oh, you want to get rid of the Confederate statues. Tokenism. What did Biden say? You ain't black if you don't vote for me, if you don't vote Democrat. Tell you who they are. We go along to get along. We think, well, the other side, Trump, is racist and evil, and, he says these things and they're horrible, and, black folks are so affected by words that we run and vote typically as a bloc for the Democratic Party. The Peanuts gang, we're Charlie Brown and they're Lucy. They tell us they're not going to move the football, and yet they do. And some of us seek these meritorious manumissions so they can be good with massa, so they can get their leg up and be good. Now, house Negroes and field Negroes, house slaves, field slaves, there's some colorism in there, some other things in there, right? If you in the house, you closer to massa, you get trinkets and treats. Get a come up. That's what they call it today. You get the bag. That's what you get. But you make sure that you don't let too many other people get close to massa. Reap all the benefits and rewards for yourself. What is meritorious manumissions? That's an excellent question. I'm so glad that you asked. Let's get in to the video. Dr. Claude Anderson is going to let us know what meritorious manumissions are. Now, I want you to think, because he's talking about the past, but be contemporary and talk about how you've seen Negroes today, especially in Kitsap County, seek meritorious manumissions. Pretend, always you say, throw rocks and hide your hands. Pay attention. It's been happening the whole time. Dr. Claude, tell them what time it is.
just from 1500 to 1660 as an example,
Fair
they
use.
shipped 5 million black folk out of Africa just to Central America down here to dig for gold and silver. And in 150 years, black folk with tools and sticks and stones, they dug out over 16,000 tons of silver and over 4,000 tons of gold. All that went back to Europe. Black folk at that point in time were producing almost 99% of all the sugar on earth, cotton, tobacco, anything else. They were building all the houses. They were the caulkers, builders. So what they did then, they started advertising in Europe. So anybody wants to get wealth, they go to America. You go to America, we guarantee you. We give you free land and free labor. And you would have to be an idiot to come to America if we give you free land and free labor and not get rich. So they began, and by 1710, somebody said, well, how are we going to control all these blacks? So the state of Virginia passed a law called meritorious manumission. Meritorious manumission then says that we will control blacks by building in an internal attitude inside of them.
What did he say? Building an internal attitude inside of them. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Let's continue. He's only got 51 seconds left.
To make them see things through our eyes. To make them white in everything but skin color. And what the meritorious manumission passed by the state of Virginia in 1710 then said we will reward any black who gets very good at this.
Damn, there's some good blacks here in the county. Is damn good at it. Professionals, experts.
And so if any black person saves a white person's life, protects a white person's property, invent.
Are you protecting white people's property? Is that what you're doing? Let's go.
Something that a white person can make money off of, or if he squeals on in the slave revolts, he would get freedom.
Ooh-wee. Talk about it, Dr. Claude Anderson. So if you invent something, if you make massa look good, and we're going to call it all the way out. There have been organizations, small ones, that have been doing work for decades in this county. But they never seem to get the financial support from those that hold the purse strings. Now, again, you strike while the iron is hot. George Floyd dies, and many of us saw it as an opportunity to capitalize financially off white institutions. And that's just what the hell we did. A lot of us came up in Kitsap because of that. That was catalyst. That was the trigger. You'd be a fool, right? To pass up on an opportunity like that. Get the bread off the back of your black brother. Do good with the money. All right.
Okay. And so I tracked from 1710 all the way up to 1860s. And out of over 200 some possible slave revolts, a black person squealed in every one of them.
Man. That's why we need a Nat Turner. We need a Nat Turner in this county. We need the person that's going to call out the shit that goes on in the back room. The shit that is said to each other, where we bring each other down. And I'll give some examples coming up here. Holding each other back. Jockeying for favor from master. And other black folks. So let me give you an example. You come to me and you talk shit about someone, some black dude, some black female. This MFR ain't shit. Yada, yada, yada. What do? I don't know this dude. I don't know this woman. So when Master come ask me, hey, what you think of such and such? Oh, man, I heard yada, yada, yada. Marwan told me, don't trust him. Don't work with him, right? Same thing goes for the black folks. Hey, man, don't work with her. Don't work with him. He ain't shit. Hey, man, what's up with your boy over there? Hey, is he cool? Because I'm thinking about trying to do some things with him. Oh, no, man. Oh, boy told me you don't want to mess with that. Has that happened to you? Have you been on the receiving end of one of those stories? I have. Hit dogs holler. Have you been the one going around and telling those stories about other black folks? That's what I mean by throwing rocks and hiding your hands. That what it is? Okay. So we got to call it out. Nat Turner and this bitch. That's what needs to happen here in this county. Needs to happen more than just in this county. But I live in Kitsap County. My daughter lives in Kitsap County. And I see we are making some gains, but part of it is making them on the backs of each other. So if you ain't going to do it right, don't do it at all. Know what I'm saying? I think that's only fair. I don't think that's too much to ask. I mean, I don't. Maybe you do. Let's play this one here. Meritorious manumissions. I think this is important. We're going to get into this next step. I got a really big announcement. After I'm going to play this video, I'm going to read you something, and I'm going to make a big-ass announcement. Shit you ain't never heard. Tearing the roof off of Bremerton tonight. Come on, let's go.
On members of their own race who are planning to escape and free other blacks. Blacks must first establish cultural standards of acceptable social behavior and jettison behavior patterns that render them economically non-competitive.
We must jettison. Establish cultural standards of acceptable social behavior. Where is our code? We don't have no code. We're not accountable to anybody. We're not accountable to the church. We're not accountable to other men. We're not accountable to other women. We're not accountable to the group. We just do whatever we damn well please. No one can tell us nothing, right? We're our own experts. And you wonder why we don't make gains. You've heard me be critical of the black church in this county. Sinclair, Mount Zion, Emmanuel, all within what? A 5-mile radius. What power they could do if they were one entity. Where is our schools? K through 12. We know what's happening in our schools, and I'll be calling out Drayton Jackson a little bit later on in this conversation. School board president of CK Schools. So where are our schools? Oh, they don't want critical race theory. They're trying to get rid of what actual black history is. They're telling us now that slavery was immigration. Where the hell are our schools at? Where's our credit union? Where's our grocery stores? We're 3% of the population. Shout out to Christina Rourke. She sent me that earlier today. So if we're 3%, we can't afford to be operating at 0.25%, trying to get shit done because it doesn't work. It's only marginal. But you know, head Negro in charge. I don't like how you doing it. I don't even like you. Yeah, that's what we doing. That's what we've been doing. That's what we continue to do. We applaud. Good job. Look at all the black organizations here in such a small town. Living Life Leadership, Surviving Change, Up from Slavery, Marvin Williams Center, New Day, Mount Zion, Sinclair, on and on and on. Foundation for Homeless and Poverty Management, G2. Keep it running. Mm. No code of conduct. You won't hold yourself accountable to your own bullshit. You want to look at, what do they say? You know, before you point out the sty in someone else's eye, point it out in your own. See, black folks been doing cancel culture long before it was a thing. We've been canceling each other in Kitsap for the longest time. And we do it behind each other's backs, oftentimes. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Let's go.
Blacks must openly acknowledge that certain behavior is detrimental to the race and must be changed. They can no longer excuse destructive behavior by hiding within the frail walls of civil rights issues or charging it to poverty politics or the legacies of slavery.
Woo! Man, dropping bombs right there. We can no longer charge it to poverty. We can no longer feign ignorance. You went to the Race and Equity Summit. You planned the Race and Equity Summit. So what the fuck is going on? Why are you still operating in the same way? How come you haven't grown? The most insidious thing that folks can do is put forth as though they're actually helping folks while they're destroying folks simultaneously, undermining other people's efforts. Now Turner and this bitch.
Black institutions, churches, schools, families, and other social organizations must assert themselves regarding the problems facing Black America. They must establish and promote codes of conduct to protect their community from Black antisocial and dysfunctional behaviors.
This shit ain't new. We know what we need to do. We just refuse to do it. The church won't hold you accountable. You're not going to hold yourself accountable. And you're not going to submit to the group so that you can be held accountable so that we can grow. Get the bag. Save yourself, black man. I will help you as long as it's a come up for me. It's cloaked in altruism. Stop the cap. All right, so now that we know what meritorious manumissions are, give you a reminder from what that is. Contemporarily, have you seen someone save master? Have you seen someone invent something or make massa look good? And the massa could be any entity or thing. Could be the United Way. Big white institution handing out money. Looking good for massa? You making it look like massa's doing the BIPOC work? That what you doing? Okay. Let's go. All right, like I told you, I got a big announcement to make. You're going to hear it. But first, we need to go back over the Willie Lynch letter. Again, you fall for it every damn time. Charlie Brown, Linus. Let's get in here. Willie Lynch's speech of 1712. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve your problem with slaves. Your invitation reached me on a modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still oldest methods to control slaves. Ancient Rome would be envious if this program was implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for the illustrious king whose version of the Bible we cherish. I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome uses cords and wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of the dead slave hanging from the tree a couple miles back. You are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I'm here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, the bag back in the 1700s, I have foolproof method for controlling black slaves. Still works today. I guarantee every one of you that if it correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. This was written in 1700. 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. Strategy 1, taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many black women as possible, varying the drops by various tones that you want and letting them breed with each other until the circle of colors appears you desire. What you got is a multiplicity of colors. Crossbreeding completed for further severance from the original beginning. We must completely annihilate the mother tongue and institute a new language that involves the new life's work. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of the people. Strategy 2, the more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if a foreigner is an enemy of this country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to the extent he is the country vulnerable to attack and invasion of foreign culture. For example, you take a slave, if you teach all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you cannot fool him any longer. And being a fool is one basic ingredient of an incident of maintenance of the slavery system. Strategy 3, I've outlined a number of differences among slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South or Bremerton. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's only there because it begins with A. And the second is color or the shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of the plantations, status on plantations, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley or in the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differings, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I assure you that the distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. Sound familiar? Strategy 4, break the spirit of the man, much like you would break the spirit of a horse, and ride the woman as though she were a wild ass until she is tamed and offer no resistance. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Yeah, we haven't recovered. Don't forget, you must pitch that old black male versus young male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary for your slaves' trust to depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only. That's why we have sayings. The white man's ice water is colder. You can go to McDonald's and they never have the apple pie. They never have the McFlurry. You never try to negotiate price with them because they're not going to negotiate. You go to a black business and things aren't 100% sat like you would like them to be. So you can't patronize that business. You can't add support. Well, they need to get their stuff together. They need to be giving me a discount because I'm black. Damn, brother, you can't give me 5% off. You can't give me 20% off. You can't give me buy one, get one. Maybe you should just do it for me for free. Sound familiar? And we wonder why the dollar in the black community is what? 6 minutes, did they say? 6 minutes. Strategy 5. Bullwhip the black man in front of the women and the child until he gives up his will to resist. This leaves the woman feeling alone, unprotected by him, with his image destroyed. The ordeal will cause her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen, independent state. What do we hear today? I'm strong and independent. But what are we hearing now? I'm tired of having to be strong and independent. See, we've been sold a bill of goods. And we don't need the traditional black family. And we wonder why we're struggling. We're wondering why we lead in single parent households. This was all by design. She will turn and raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Wow, isn't that what we see? When we see our young boys that our young mothers love, and the fathers who are in the homes that love their children. And they're so nice and innocent when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. By 13, 14, and 15, in the streets of Chicago and California, Tacoma, they're killing each other. We don't know what to do with them. But they were just your babies just a few years previously. Right? Because you made them all soft and emotional. They're going to pick out a gun instead of talking through it, processing their feelings and their emotions. That's what we got. Mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong because she has become psychologically independent. She will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. This is what we got. This is what it is. And we're looking around like, what? So, wait a minute. You want police reform, but no one's accountable. You don't want to be brutalized by the police, but you're being brutalized by your own offspring, and you don't know what to do. Faith without work is dead. So you could pray all day long, but if you ain't going to do the work, it's a wonder you haven't seen a result yet. Let's go. Strategy 6. We talked about the paying particular attention to the female and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Unless a phenomenon occurred and reshaped the positions of the male and the female, the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. And the last strategy, the best way to deal with the phenomenon is to shave their mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon of illusions so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, sometimes similar to floating balls in a vacuum. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and your children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for a year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Willie Lynch. I'm going to read that last piece again. The slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. You know we don't trust each other. You know we don't trust each other. Right? So let's get into it. You've heard me talk about the black church. There have been many who have been upset over the situation that happened yesterday with the backpack events with Doc and Jeremiah and Marvin Williams. Crabs in the barrel mentality. The things that people don't understand is Jeremiah and Doc have been talking behind the scenes well before the day of the event happened, and the only reason why it ended up happening on the same day was Marvin Williams couldn't change his ticket. And they're already planning something big for the future. But for those of us that are not in the know, we immediately draw sides. You know how it is. Everyone's sitting there at a party, and you encourage and tune that person up to get into a conflict. You more mad at what's happened than the person that was originally affected. Why the hell we don't work together? Why can't we work together? Why don't you talk to this person? Why doesn't this church deal with this church? Do you even remember the history? What was your grandparents' beef? That's not even your beef. What was your parents' beef? That's not even your beef. So you're going to be like the Hatfields and McCoys, and you're just going to keep it going, right? And you don't see that we're all in it together, right? Because most of us are suffering, which means they're going to pick us off. There's powers in numbers. Stand together. But we can't do that, can we? So what do we have here? We got the issues with the black churches. We've got the situation going on with the Marvin Williams Center. My personal gripe has a lot to do with, one, my Nat Turnerism. I'm going to call it out. From this day forth, if you don't want me to talk about it, don't tell my ass. If you're talking shit about somebody else, don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm not here for it. I'm an advocate for black men and boys. So I'm not here for it. Now, I told you, as far as Drayton Jackson is concerned, he's the president of CK School District. And there's some issues in that district that need to be addressed. So we're going to be calling that out. My daughter's in that district. We're going to be calling that out. But you know what I need? I need other parents to bring me the issues. We're not going to be on the sidelines anymore. But you know what? I'm calling out several people tonight. Darryl Riley is next on my list. And when I talking about people behind their backs, that's what I'm talking about. Now, I've addressed him directly earlier today in message. So I've already said this to him. So this isn't me talking behind his back, and I told him that I would send the link. But as I told him, I have heard him talk negatively about every black man pretty much that I know, except for Doc. And I'm wondering, damn, every dude is fucked up? I told you I'm going to be using language tonight. So TC Curry's fucked up? JD Sweet's fucked up? Pastor Frankie Sinclair, he's fucked up? You wanted to whip Pastor Richmond's ass? You were going to whip his ass? How does that sound, you talking about you whipping a pastor's ass? Make that make sense. This is what we're talking about. Black misandry. See, most people don't even know that term because they hear misogyny, right? Hatred against women. Misandry, hatred against men. Black misandry, hatred against black men. Why are you hating against other black men? You know, from preschool, they say if you don't have something good to say about someone, maybe you just don't say anything at all. You don't like the work they're doing. You don't like the effort. They haven't done anything good. Again, I gave you the example. So if you come to me and you say, Pastor Richmond ain't shit, when Massa, who got the money, comes and asks me, hey, tell me about Pastor Richmond and Mount Zion. Should I work with them? We might have something going on. Well, No, man, I got on good authority. Pastor Richmond ain't shit. Okay, thank you for that. If you say to me, oh man, JD Sweet ain't shit. When another black person or another black organization says, hey man, I was just in a Zoom with JD Sweet. What you think about him? Oh man, my guy told me JD Sweet ain't shit. Damn, okay. So I guess we're not gonna partner together. We ain't gonna work together. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. Don't fucking tell me some negative shit about another black man or another black dude unless I need to call it out Nate Turner style. And this is what it's going to look like from here on out. I never heard no shit like that. You're going to whip the pastor's ass. Does he know that you were going to whip his ass? If you had done that, what do you think that would do? It would diminish you. It would diminish Up From Slavery. It would diminish Mount Zion. And they just waiting for us to do that. They're waiting for some cornball shit like that to happen. They're waiting for some stupid ass street shit. See, I'm wondering why this has been happening for so long. And I couldn't understand it. Black misandry exists regardless of where the hatred comes from. And if this is how people go around talking, are we going to push back on that? Are other men going to push back on that? Well, no, because they might get their ass whooped. What you telling people now? You going to come whoop my ass too? You going to come beat up Layla's dad? Is that what it is? Is that the game? Is that how we get ahead? Is that how we get the bag? Fall in line? We're doing the street thing. See, with great power comes great responsibility. You're up from slavery. You bringing in Race and Equity Summit. You're talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome. So you got to hold yourself to a higher standard. You don't go around doing no bitch shit. And I'm not calling you a bitch. I'm saying that's some bitch shit, and you know what we talking about because you understand that. Because if I use other pejoratives, well, you don't seem to like words with too many syllables. And that's another thing that I see in this community too much. We respect the shit, the street. We respect that thug life mentality, being hard. We tell people that they need to get the bag. We tell people health is wealth. We tell people, oh, generational wealth. How are you supposed to do that? How are you supposed to do that? No more throwing rocks and hiding your hands. If we're really going to heal, we're really going to move forward, we're going to have to call this shit out. No longer should someone feel intimidated by someone talking loud. And when someone gives you that smoke back, you walk away because you can't have the conversation. Well, maybe you walked away because you wanted to hit me. So maybe that was the right choice for you to do in that moment. So I applaud you. If that's why you walked away, because you couldn't have the conversation. So interesting how you can hold so many other people accountable, but you can't hold your goddamn self accountable. And when you get called out, you just want to take your ball and go. Stand. Be the strong black man. Be the king. I hate that terminology. Oh, we kings and queens. But we act like slaves. slave mentality, post-traumatic slave syndrome. Now, why am I frustrated? That's frustration enough. Here's my issue. Game night. Well, it was actually before game night. Game night was the second time. Daryl says, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. We're going to be talking about, dudes that are coming out of jail, getting support, yada, yada, yada. I'm paying, these folks to come and set it all up. Christina Rourke is coming and working with us. And after we get it all set, I'd like you to, come in and talk about what equipment we should use. Oh, okay. Yesterday, when we got into it, he led with the same thing. Now, I wouldn't have a problem if he didn't always lead with, I'm paying all these people. You ain't got to lead with that. You ain't got to lead with the bag. It's offensive if you lead with the bag and then say, well, I'm paying all these people, but I want you to come in and do this shit for free. Negro shit. You know what I mean? It's offensive. Same thing with the Race and Equity Summit. Hey, man, we paying this dude out of California to come up and do this and that, but you can come in here and you can videotape and this and that. So you lead with the bag, like, oh, I guess the bag's here. And then how does the conversation go? I'm like, okay. Because, see, I'm going to help you regardless. And you've heard the other podcasts where I'm critical about the black church. But when Mount Zion had their event, I was there to support. I'm damn critical of the Marvin Williams Center. That is not an open secret. That I got issues with the fact that it's more of an event center than a community center. I've got issues where they're not supporting the homeless community and they're 10 feet away. That optically, that shit look bad. To have an expensive dinner and people hollering out $5,000 and this and that, 10 feet from all those homeless folks. They're your neighbors, whether you like it or not. And in the same token, the auction was $250. And they don't know that because Miss Deborah raised her hand and said $500, but that was a split donation. Me and her. Because I still support the work. See what I'm saying? So I can be critical, but I'm still going to uphold and uplift my black people, the black events, the things that are going on, because that's what we do. But we lead with the money. Hey, man, I'm paying this one. I'm paying that one. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I say, hey. So, I'm like, I'm holding my phone. If y'all saw me yesterday, I'm just holding my phone up, right? Because the iPhone is a bomb-ass camera. I've got my Rode microphones, which are, those are baddies too, let me tell you. I was like, well, you could use this. It's like, no, I want it to be right. I want to make sure we do. Well, I'm like, well, what's your budget? Man, I ain't got no budget, right? There you go, bragging on the bag, right? But the expectation is I still come in and just, give you the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? But you got all the money. You got the bag. You lead with the bag. You don't lead with the bag, it's whatever, right? I tell them, I say, hey, man, I can run the show for you. I don't have to be the face of the show. I've been doing it for the whole year. Other organizations have shows on the Conduit Network. Oh, don't believe me? Let's check in on some of those things. Here we go. Let's look at the first one here.
I'm here with you, man. So that's always a good thing, man. Things are moving forward.
I like it. Well, we're going to get into quite a bit today in this next hour. So, you had a few guests that were going to be on, but we'll have them on some other times. Why don't you let people know who some of the people are that you plan on having the show in the future?
I'm going to be having some of the staff come in, like they're going to be in the process of being facilitated. But I have some of my youth counselors come in, tell you a little bit about what they've been through in their life and tell you a lot about the changes that they're making and the great things that they're trying to do and help the community and what really gave them that motivation to change their life and basically how we help each other make it every day. Because, any type of bad habit or characteristics or things that you've been doing in your past that you've done for a while, they become bad habits, you know.
And that's Brother Anton, right? Brother Anton was in prison for 20-something years for murder, right? Now he working on his show. This was February, by the way. See, we were already doing this. So what he wanted to create, we were already doing.
Turmoil, you tend to go back.
Oh, wait. Oh, there's more. Because that wasn't the only one that we did.
And then we'll have those disciples of mine all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, talking about something about that name Jesus. So we'll definitely
be
vaccine clinic. They can
through all the little juveniles and prison system in the state of Washington upon my journey through from my juvenile to my adulthood. And upon that journey, you know, I've matured, and you grow up and you start looking back at your life and you start realizing that you don't want that to be your legacy.
So I'm going to bring the receipts, right? We're already doing that. But that's cool. Like I said, I can host it. I don't even need to be the face of it. We talk all the time about how, you know, again, we're 3% of the population. Instead of working together, we just create our own shit, right? Because we either don't like, you know, how they doing it, we don't like the person, and we just think we could do it better. You know, someone shared with me tonight that he was saying, and I shouldn't go into hearsay, but it's like, oh, you're doing too much, right? And do your things. So we could talk about Eurocentric mindsets. To me, that would be like, you know, oh, Brother Daryl just bought Snap Fitness. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go ahead and buy Planet Fitness. Why the hell would I do that? That might be one thing if it was like Doc and Jeremiah. Jeremiah didn't know anything about the backpack event that Doc was doing, right? He's just trying to do good in the community. He had no idea that someone was already doing it. Otherwise, they would have teamed up and really made it a thing. I went to both of them, and they were fired. But you know, and you still like, all right, I got you. I get it. And see, what I get from my allies is I got chastised from an ally. Said, oh, well, you know, it's monopoly. You know, we wouldn't want this to be a monopoly, would we? It sounds like some white bullshit to me. Sounds like some white bullshit to me. Jewel's on here watching. Shout out. Jewel, how would you feel if I started my own Black Student Union? That would be crazy. Why the hell would I do that? Why would I not support your effort? But that's what we do. Make that shit make sense. Make that shit make sense. You can't. It doesn't. But we're sanctimonious. We're self-righteous. We know better. And again, we're not accountable to anyone else. So it is what it is. This is a problem. This is a problem. That crabs in a barrel mentality. This white man's ice water is colder. The black misandry that happens. You know, it's sad that the only people that folks really recognize as a black male leader in Kitsap has passed away. Bishop Robinson. Who do they hold up as a black male leader today? Well, there's no way that they can hold up a black male leader today because you got black men tearing other black men down. Doesn't really happen in the female sector. I mean, it happens a little bit. But for the most part, they stay on code and they'll uplift each other. They might have issues with each other and still make it happen when it comes time for it. It is what it is. You've seen the show. Okuye and Deborah go at it constantly. But when it really comes down time to do the work, where they at? They doing it. Because they don't let that shit get in the way. But we do. I can't wait to see how this goes on the other side. Oh, wait a minute, wait. Oh, I forgot. I got a big ass announcement. I told y'all. Hey, Nat Turner Kitsap. I'm going to run for city council. I'm going to run for city council. You know, I don't want to go to the meetings and ask for city council or demand of city council to do this, that, or the other. I'm running for city council. So I got a little while to get myself ready before that seat comes open. So I'll be getting to know the community, but most of all, I'm going to be holding y'all asses accountable. And I expect you to do the same and hold me accountable. But we're going to call out the bullshit. It's a new day. It's a new day in Kitsap. See, I was going to do this earlier. And surprisingly enough, Daryl was the one that advised me not to. He said, no, don't do that behind the scenes. And while I get and can respect all of the black laundry doesn't need to be aired out in public. The problem, I believe, on why we haven't made more progress is because we've kept it behind the scenes and we haven't called it out. And there have been no consequences for people breaking the black contract in this community. So we're going to call that shit out. Don't come and tell me any bullshit about somebody else, because I'm going to tell it. I'm damn sure going to tell them. And whatever I've said to you about somebody else, please tell them that I said it. And we will have a conversation about it. See, my dad, Reverend Winthrop Cameron, told me what he says is, if I say it behind you, I say it before you. And so he never uttered words out of his mouth that he did not want to get back to the person. That's why I'm having this conversation. We've been trying all these other things and we've been making marginal progress. Sometimes we've been falling backwards and we don't have time for it. We just came through a pandemic. We have folks dying in hospitals alone. We had folks stuck and trapped in their homes, scared to death, unsupported. We know that the next pandemic is coming. Oh, well, we got monkeypox here. I think there's something else that just hit New York. We're still due for the earthquake. So what infrastructure do we have set up so that we take care of our people? Do we have phone lines? Do we have a call line? You call this one, that one calls that one, and we check on each other. Do we know what each other's needs are? Do we have spots set up where we have a storehouse of supplies in case we get into an emergency situation? Do we have distribution set up? See, we don't have that. Crabs in a barrel. So when it happens, there will be gnashing of teeth, people dying and suffering alone. We're watching folks get evicted, and it's going to increase. You done moved in with your auntie, you done moved in with this one, emotions are fractured, you still don't want the landlord to find out that you got people living and they're not even on the lease because everybody can get kicked out. We got a recession, so that may cause you to lose your job. There's no more rental assistance, there's no more eviction assistance, so what do? Where are you going to work? How are you going to make ends meet? You're stressed the hell out, so now you're all fighting each other. And ML King is growing with homelessness. See, the trick bag is you're so focused on trying to hold on to what little you got. You're watching all these other people fall by the wayside and you hanging on. You got a good grip, then your grip is starting to lessen and it's starting to lessen. See, you can't fight when you're just trying to hang on. That's the trick. Got to fight together. Got to build infrastructure. We got to make change. Are our kids going to be in a position to help the elderly as they come into their leadership positions? Are we going to lose a generation? See, all the Gen Xers, we got all these crazy health issues. I got sarcoidosis. I got degenerative disc and joint disease in my spine. I'm a hot mess. Many of us are like that. Our fight's almost over, at least the physical fight. So what's next? Are we turning over society to our youth in a space where they can run with it and lead and build? Or are they inheriting the same bullshit, the same toxicity that we just continue to perpetuate and create because we're too petty? We can't be humble. We can't be accountable. We can't apologize. But you know what? I forgive you. I forgive you, my dude. That's the terminology that the kids say today. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. It's a disease we have to battle and overcome daily. Inevitably, we will fall short, but we must endeavor to do better. That's a direct quote from me. I'm going to quote my goddamn self. Got, not God. I would not use the Lord's name in vain. I am a PK, by the way, so I would never do that. Got. I might use some bad words, but that's one I will not use. So what are we going to do? I got a question for you. I've got a request. Please analyze in your life where you are suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. Analyze in your life where you're holding other Black people back. Analyze in your life who you need to forgive or have a conversation with. Black folks are getting together. Shout out to Deborah and Kendra and all the people that are organizing this event on September 19th, which will be a mediated event for Black folks to come and have conversations and hopefully to process through this. The reason why we're having game night is because I don't believe that it's enough to talk about it. The 17th, thank you, Jewel. We work hard. We're doing the work. We're fighting systemic issues. We're fighting white supremacy. We're fighting each other. We're fighting economics. We're fighting capitalism. We're fighting poverty, education, you name it. We're fighting all of it. We're exhausted. We're at our wits' end. And when we come together, we often clash. The resources are finite, so we're all fighting over this same little pie. I give Marvel Williams $250. They give Up From Slavery $250. Up From Slavery gives Doc Loves the Kids $250. We exchanging the same dollars. Deborah, Kendra, Tanika, and yourself. There you go. The only reason why I said those two names is Deborah sent me the email and Kendra's name is on the survey. So I don't know who all is behind the scenes. So applause to all of y'all. And the fact, that's bold. That's brave. But I would love to see Black men take a leadership role in healing. You want to be the kings? I wrote the email. You want to be the kings? Then be a damn king. Act like a king. We do want all of us to win. And we can win. That's what's so crazy about it. I was having a conversation earlier where I was saying, you can hate the messenger. Don't hate the message. See, I believe when Trump made the statement, make America great again, everyone said, oh, he's a racist, yada, yada, yada. But what I say is, back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, when our parents and grandparents had to work together, the Black family was at its strongest. Because it was them against society. And we all worked together. out of necessity. You had to as a matter of survival. But we got it so good now. We got things like, I don't need no man. I'm independent. I could do bad all by myself. I'm getting the bag. SY and BM. Save yourself, black man. We have all these things now that create this individualistic society. And black people have always been a collective, even from the motherland. But now that's not how we get down. So when I think of make America great again, that's what I think about. Yeah, we lost the village. Who's the mama? Who's the big mama now who's young that's watching all the kids while folks go to work? See, those are gone, right? Where's the support network? Where are the big mamas and the mothers that are holding the little girls accountable? We don't even call it out in church anymore, right? It used to be, hey, you came in and you showed up pregnant, you definitely wasn't going to sit on the front row. You definitely wasn't coming to church dressed like that. What the hell are you walking into the house of the Lord dressed like that? You know, you're going to go down south and you're going to come back. Maybe you come back with the baby. Maybe, maybe you don't. Now anything goes. Prosperity preaching. You too can have a man and a woman and a house and whatever you want. Just pay your tithes and offering. But year after year, our folks are struggling. The executive director of United Way, we were speaking at the Marvin Williams Center, and he shared some horrifying stat with me, something about 90% of our black kids in Kitsap County were in poverty. I'm like, what the hell? I was supposed to send him an email so he could send me the information. 90%? We're 3% of the population and 90% of us are in poverty? With great power comes great responsibility. Drayton, Daryl, Pastor Richmond, Pastor Frankie, the pastors at Emmanuel, the leaders of organizations, me, we got to do better. Jason, KRL, Tony, KCR. We got a real opportunity for change. We got a real opportunity for black men to stand and deliver, for black men to stand together, to support each other, because we got to model the behavior, right? If we can't work together, if we can't stand together, if we're going to talk shit about each other, our sons are seeing it. Our young men are seeing it. And they're going to emulate that behavior, right? Because that's what they're watching. That's what they think is cool, because they think you're cool. You're the shit. You're the first black franchise owner in Kitsap County. Act like it. Act like it. Up from slavery. You created a hell of a thing. Act like it. Stop letting us off the hook, folks. Call us out. That's love. And when we get right, then you elevate us back to the position that we belong. You don't keep us down. You don't throw us away. You don't reject us. And I get it, Daryl. You ain't got time for nigga shit. But with everyone thinking that way, where does that leave any of us? 90% children in poverty, Kitsap County. And one thing I would never tell someone is that their program basically doesn't make any sense. Right? My vision is self-sufficiency for all Kitsap County residents, feeding folks that are experiencing food insecurity, providing transportation for folks, doing case management for people, helping them navigate social services. And what he said to me was, basically, I'm wasting my time. That they need to pull themselves up from their bootstraps. He ain't focused on that. No wonder why you can't support something you don't value. But I would never say that. And that's why I support everyone. Again, I am not without fault. I can be petty. I can be a lot of things. I can be angry. My emotional intelligence can be on the low. But I fight every day to try to find different ways to support other Black folks in their organizations and their endeavors. And yes, there are operating costs. I can't provide transportation for free. I wish I could. But your membership ain't free. Costco ain't free. We got to pay. Thing is, I'm cheaper than most Ubers, cabs. Yeah, that has been the problem in the Black communities. The Thomas Sowell complex. Yeah. I'll have to do that in my next hoodie conversation. Bring up some Thomas Sowell. For sure. And I know this is hard, and I'm sure that there are folks that won't agree with it. But believe it or not, this is in love. When you were on this podcast the last time when I interviewed you, I said that you're a leader. And I meant that. Because I'm not going to blow smoke up your ass. I actually mean that. People are watching you. People are going to emulate you. So you can bring us down or you can bring us up. You can put the front out there for everyone to see that you're bringing us up and be bringing us down in conversations individually with folks. And we know it's true because I'm sure there's probably half the people that are listening now. Man, I got 12 people just on YouTube watching right now. There's almost 50 people. Twitch is going crazy. That would say those things are happening. Yes, I am critical of the Black church. I believe they can and should be doing more, that they should be doing it differently. And at the same time, I believe they are doing good things. And I support the good things. And I support them doing and restoring the Black church to its former glory. Because that was the cornerstone of the Black community. Man, I think I should wrap. I think I hit quite a bit there. I gave you meritorious manumissions. I gave you your history lesson, the Willie Lynch letter. See, we need to talk about these things outside of Black History Month and Martin Luther King Day anyway. Never lose sight of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Like I said, my daughter lives in this county. She'll be 11 in October. I want her to inherit something better than it is currently. And that's my responsibility. It's all of our responsibility. So let's do something different. Yes, Black 365. On the 17th, I hope to see Black folks fill that library, ready to talk, listen. Almost say ready to listen first, hear, and not listening for rebuttal, but actually listening, putting yourself in the other person's shoes with the intent to move past. Somehow we're able to forgive the white folks. Well, they got the money, so that might be why, right? We'll forgive the white folks so quick. Oh man, Gucci's racist. Oh man, I will fight you to go and buy my Gucci and my Prada. Jewel says, please RSVP as we have a limited seats for the first session. Jewel, can you put the link in there if you got it? But we will fight to have that white access. We don't have time to waste. We've already lost too much time. Incremental change ain't going to get us where we need to get. Jewel will have the link for us momentarily. As I said to Daryl in my message to him, it won't matter to me if we never speak again. It won't matter to me if we continue on the same way as it was before yesterday. It doesn't matter to me if we go forward and build together. If he does something good, I'm going to support it. That's what I'm required to do as a black man. It doesn't matter. That's what I'm required to do as a black man because I'm on code. Stay on code. Stay to the contract. I love you all. So many things we can do. Since I'm running for city council, I do expect the ops to come out. Go ahead, Google, do your research. If you look, I pretty much talked about it all in the podcast. So bring it on. It's all good. See, the thing is, when I was thinking about whether or not I was going to create the conduit, I was having a conversation with Tiffany. Shout out to Tiffany Photography. She was pushing me to do the podcast. I'm like, I don't know. I know stuff is going to be, you can't access the, okay. So everyone check your email. Jewel can't access the link right now, but check your email or reach out to Jewel or I say if you say something in the chat or something like that, I'll make sure it gets to Jewel, but reach out to her and she will send you the link. But just so everyone knows, we got an opportunity to do something different. We've got to do something different. After the 17th is over, we might have a conversation before the 17th. I don't know. What I won't do is I won't waste, the folks that are there on the 17th with me and Daryl's issue. I think that would be unfair to the progress of the collective, right? We can handle our stuff offline so that the collective can move forward. And then after that, we can party and hang out. Because we need to have that on the other side. We've got to engage with each other when it's not work related or event related or program related. We're all just so tired of planning. Sometimes we're seeing each other, we're both set up at a table. Hey, Rev, what you doing up so late? You know it's past your bedtime. Shout out to the Rev. No cap recap tomorrow afternoon. But it's tough, right? Again, we're fighting everything. And then we get to fighting ourselves. We've got to come back together, laugh, just enjoy each other's company. build those relationships again, build that trust. Conflict is always going to come. We can't avoid conflict. We're not going to get into a point where we're not going to argue with each other or disagree. But we can't get to the point where it's like, fuck that person. I'm never working with them again, and neither should you. Sometimes we say, hey, if you're going to deal with that dude, I'm not dealing with him. I'm not going to deal with you if you're dealing with that person. What right do you have to even fix your mouth to say something like that? See, then it becomes you being the problem. So don't be the problem, king. Don't be the problem, queen. To Kitsap County, to the black folks at Kitsap, to growth, to forgiveness, and whatever else you think is important. Man, we got to be here for it, y'all. Until next time, I'm Arwan Cameron. This is The Conduit podcast in Kitsap County. Come one, come all. Let's go. All right, y'all.